Good morning. Welcome to this wonderful event to celebrate, and I mean celebrate, the bar admission of William Herbert Johnson, Syracuse University College of Law class of 1903. As a first order of business, I would like to invite forward Thomas Johnson Jr., Michael Johnson, and Matthew Johnson, great and great-great-grandchildren of William Herbert Johnson, who will lead us all in the Pledge of Allegiance. Please rise.
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Before we begin the formal program, I want to note that the proceedings here today are being transcribed by a court reporter, Adam L. Weiss, who is creating an official record of today's proceedings, which are occurring during an official session of this court. We do not always transcribe the admission ceremonies, but the historic nature of this wonderful event we thought was worthy of transcription, and we'll keep a copy of that transcript with the official record in the 4th Department. I'm honored to be joined today from members of the 4th Department, my colleagues, Justice John Sentra to my immediate right, from Syracuse, Justice Edward Tarney to my immediate left, also from Syracuse, Justice Brian Joseph on my far right, again from Syracuse, and Justice Shirley Troutman on my far left, one of our colleagues from Buffalo, New York, which is where I hail from also. Also present in the courtroom today, we're honored to have another colleague of ours, Justice Stephen Lindley, who's sitting here in the front seat, who wanted to make sure he was here and part of this historic event. Thank you, Justice Lindley, for coming down and being here today. I would also like to thank a few people for their role in making this event happen. First, I would like to thank the Honorable Judge, Administrative Judge James Murphy, and his wonderful staff here in Syracuse. Judge Murphy, is he present? Hi, right here. Thank you, Judge. Your staff has made this event happen, and we really appreciate all that you've done to assist us in having this take place here in Syracuse. Second, I would like to thank Felicia Collins Acumares, the co-founder of the Syracuse Black Law Alumni Collective, whose outreach to the court about the admission of Mr. Johnson began the ball rolling a little over 6 months ago. Is this Kara Maris here? Yes. Thank you so much for your wonderful help. I would also like to thank Professor Paula Johnson of the Syracuse University College of Law, whose 2005 Law Review tribute to Mr. Johnson highlighted Mr. Johnson's distinguished life here in Syracuse and the fact that he had not been admitted to the practice of law in the state. Ms. Johnson has also been instrumental in coordinating with the court staff to make this proposed event a reality. Is Ms. Johnson here? Awesome. Thank you very much. Also, I'd like to thank the clerk of our court, Mark Bennett, and Lenora Foote Beavers, my executive assistant, for their significant contribution to the organization of this swearing-in ceremony. Thank you very much. We have many distinguished visitors here today, too numerous to mention individually, and I do apologize for that in advance. I want to thank, though, sincerely, the members of the judiciary that are here today, who've taken time out of their busy schedules to participate in this historic swearing-in. We also have representatives from the Attorney General Letitia James's office. We have representatives from the Onondaga County District Attorney's office, the Onondaga County Legislature, and the City of Syracuse. And all other honored guests who have taken the time out of their busy schedule, thank you for joining us on this important occasion. Well, I don't need to tell you why we are all here today, but over 116 years ago, after serving his country in the Spanish-American War and returning here to his hometown, a very impressive young man graduated from Syracuse University College of Law. He just so happened to be the first African-American graduate of the College of Law. And despite his achievement, however, he was never admitted to the practice of law by the state of New York. That Mr. Johnson was not admitted to practice law in our state was wrong, terribly wrong. That wrong has stood unaddressed for far too long. And today, here, in this magnificent courtroom, before all here present, we are going to right that wrong in the only way we can, with the hope that some sense of justice can be restored to Mr. Johnson and his incredible family. It is a testament to Mr. Johnson that a lack of bar admission did not stop him from becoming a pillar of the Syracuse community, particularly of the African-American community. And his standing in the community is evidenced in part by the naming of the Minority Bar Association of Central New York in his honor. His diploma also has a place of honor at the Syracuse University College of Law, evidencing the esteem in which the College of Law holds him. As I noted earlier, a little over 6 months ago, Felicia Collins Apimaris of the Syracuse Black Law Alumni Collective reached out to the court to see if we could help correct the historic error of Mr. Johnson's non-admission to the bar. Ms. Apimaris and Professor Johnson helped tremendously. Were helped tremendously with Mr. Johnson's 4 living grandchildren. They compiled documents that provided the basis for a petition to the New York Court of Appeals for a waiver of all requirements that would otherwise have been a roadblock to the 4th Department admitting Mr. Johnson. And finally, on September 11, 2019, the Court of Appeals, the highest court in our state, issued an order waiving those requirements and allowing the 4th Department to admit Mr. Johnson to the practice of law in New York upon certification from the State Board of Law Examiners, which we received shortly thereafter. Chief Judge Janet D. Fiore, the Chief Judge of the Court of Appeals, again the highest court in our state, was instrumental in effectuating the waiver, and our Chief Judge sends her warm regards to the Johnson family and celebrates the admission of Mr. Johnson to the bar of the state of New York. With the waiver, all of the barriers to Mr. Johnson's admission to the bar have now been removed. Accordingly, today, the 4th Department will admit Mr. William Herbert Johnson to the practice of law in New York, adding him to the permanent roll of attorneys who have practiced in this great state. His name will be alongside such greats as Benjamin Cardozo and Alexander Hamilton. The cited quote made famous by Dr. King, "The arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice." While this action might come over a century too late, we hope that it is not, in the end, justice denied, but rather justice delayed. We have several distinguished speakers here today to speak of the importance of this occasion. Initially, I would like to call up to the podium the Honorable Langston McKinney, Syracuse's first African-American judge, retired from Syracuse City Court at the end of 2010 after having served over 23 years on that bench. Judge McKinney was instrumental in the founding of the William H. Johnson Bar Association, the Minority Bar Association that bears the name of today's invitee, and on whose behalf he is appearing today. Judge McKinney has been at the center of the Syracuse community for many decades, and it is a pleasure to have him here today. Please join me in welcoming Judge Langston.
We are witnesses today to a historic event for a number of reasons. We're also here today for a history lesson of sorts. And I think I have a little bit of latitude to express some editorial comments in the course of delivering that little bit of history. We know about Johnson. We know that something happened over a century ago. If we label that something that happened, an injustice, we say we have a chance today, we can never ever correct the injustice. It is a permanent stain on the pages of history of this community, this state, and this country. What we do have power and authority to do is to ameliorate the impact of the injustice. Today represents but a tiny step in that. If we use today as a building block, the future course is set at the very least in the right direction. And we're all participants in it because we are all now educated to the extent that we bear a responsibility. Like everyone in this community, like everyone in this room, but helping to do what we can to minimize the impact of what happened to Johnson when it happened. We can't erase it. We deal with it by our future conduct. I'm asking you, if you would, to submit to the same charge that Abraham Lincoln made to his listeners at Gettysburg. He in effect said, we can't dedicate this cemetery. Nothing we say or nothing that happens here today is going to dedicate anything. It was the task and it was the mission of the people who fought and died there that did all the dedicating that could be done. The real task is for people who are living now to commit themselves to the cause for which they sacrificed so much. We join them and we commit our resources to making sure that no such injustice will ever occur again within our midst. There's a step called atonement. I have some friends of a certain faith who just told me all about atonement. Yom Kippur. The notion is you have to acknowledge that an error was made and you bear some responsibility for that error. You seek an apology from the person upon whom the error was visited. You take such steps as are necessary to atone. We can parallel that here. No one sitting in the room today is responsible, you might say, for what happened to Johnson. But if you did nothing at all to prevent it and permitted it to exist, or failed to take such steps as were necessary to bring your level of knowledge to a sound level of good citizenship where you were aware of it, you, like I, and countless others failed. We have a chance for redemption now to say, there are no more William Johnson circumstances within our midst. We have a responsibility. Our Bar Association, one of our missions is to identify the future William Johnsons. Groom that person or persons to such an extent that they will be fully capable of availing themselves of each and every opportunity to do what has to be done to provide justice for all. That's us. We have to be on the lookout for injustices. We have to be on the lookout for justice warriors for training. In my belief, no one is more trained to navigate their way through our system of government and culture than lawyers. The skills that they acquired and the craft that they had, and they developed it. They never perfect it because they practice all the time. They are uniquely capable of doing it. Our charge, my charge is, maybe law schools should try to produce more persons who have an understanding that they bear a heavy responsibility for ensuring that within their midst and within their communities and within their practice, no matter where they are, they will never ever create or perpetuate or permit an injustice to remain. Years ago, at Syracuse University College of Law, they started a poverty law program to train lawyers how to deal with poor people. That's good. They should be doing more. They should be training lawyers how to work in a community to help to eradicate poverty, here, help to eradicate racial injustice, help to eradicate the bicyclists. They should do that. That's the charge. That's from me to you. That's your takeaway here. Everyone who's here today, just by being here, now you know it. You have the duty, you have the responsibility, you have the capability to commit a portion of your future to eliminating injustice. And to the extent that we can be of some assistance, we stand ready and able to do so. We stand ready and able to help to make this, our community, a one where justice, freedom, fairness abounds. That's my goal. And if I fail, I'd like to be trying when I'm dying. All right? And that's my charge to you. Thanks, Bob, for the opportunity.
Your Honor, thank you for those very thoughtful remarks. We appreciate it. My colleague, Justice Shirley Troutman, has been an Associate Justice on the Appellate Division 4 Department since February 19, 2016. And she's been making a dramatic and substantial mark on our court since she's arrived. And we're grateful for that. After serving more than 6 years as a Supreme Court Justice, 7 years as a County Court Judge, and 12 years as a Buffalo City Court Judge, she was appointed co-chair of the Franklin H. Williams Judicial Commission by Chief Judge Janet D. Fiore in February 2018. And it is in that capacity that she is going to speak to you today. Please join me in welcoming Justice Shirley Troutman.
Good morning. I, too, wish to welcome you here this morning on this historic day. I have the unique honor of addressing you both as an Associate Justice of the Appellate Division 4th Department and as co-chair of the Franklin H. Williams Judicial Commission. And it is my honor to do so. Briefly, for those of you who are unfamiliar with the work of the Commission, all members of the Commission, including myself, are appointed by the Chief Judge of the state of New York. It is named after Franklin H. Williams, who was a civil rights leader, attorney, diplomat, United Nations representative, and an associate of Supreme Court Justice Thurgood Marshall. It was due to the brutal honesty of Mr. Williams regarding the participation of minorities in the courts and the perceptions regarding the treatment of minorities in the court that in 1988, the commission was established as a permanent part of the New York State Unified Court System. Today, the commission has the full support of Chief Judge Janet DeFiore in its continued pursuit of equal justice. It is regrettable that in 1903, when Mr. Johnson graduated from the Syracuse University College of Law, that neither the Franklin H. Williams Judicial Commission or the Bar Association named in his honor was in existence to shepherd him through the bar admission process. Nevertheless, because William Herbert Johnson dared to pursue a career in law, he paved the way for other African Americans who followed to serve with distinction, not only as practicing attorneys, but also as judges. So today, we gather to bestow upon William Herbert Johnson his rightful place as a duly admitted member of the New York State Bar. Let us further honor him by ensuring that his accomplishments become firmly established not only in this community, but also beyond its borders, as a legacy that will exist in perpetuity. Being the first or only person of color to serve in any position can certainly be a challenge. However, as history teaches, there must be a first in order for unjust barriers to be eradicated. Moreover, it's not enough to be the first. One must also be present in the moment and fully participatory with respect to the opportunity that is given in order for their presence in that position to be meaningful. We are here today due to the fact that our honoree understood the importance of not only being fully engaged, but also the fact that when you're a person of color, when opportunities are given to you, it's not yours alone, but one for the community at large and for generations to come. Evidence of this fact is that the Honorable Samuel L. Green was given the opportunity to become the first African American appointed to an appellate court outside of New York City in 1983 as an Associate Justice of the Appellate Division, 4th Department. Notably, upon Justice Green's retirement, after 28 plus years of service, he was the longest serving justice in the history of the court. And due to his distinguished service, the main courtroom where arguments are heard in the 4th Department now bears his name. There is no question that not only is Justice Green a product of the legacy of William Herbert Johnson, our honoree also planted the seed for many other distinguished African American attorneys, including graduates from his alma mater, Syracuse University College of Law. So today, I would like to take this opportunity to ask those assembled to honor the memory of William Herbert Johnson by joining in partnership with the Franklin H. Williams Judicial Commission to work towards improving the experiences of all who appear before the courts in the 5th Judicial District, by virtue of the fact that it is the courts that every citizen calls upon when there are disputes that can't be resolved without its assistance, and where the state's punitive powers are exercised as it relates to the criminal law. In addition, when citizens appear at the courthouse, what the people look like, with whom they interact, from court officers to the judge, impacts their perception of how justice will be dispensed. This is certainly not to say that a courthouse with majority personnel can't dispense justice fairly. But when some minorities, members of the public, become involved in the legal system, their greatest fear is that their negative perception of the system will for them become a reality. Simply put, diversity matters because it helps foster an environment where equity, acceptance, and respect are intrinsic, while at the same time rejecting bias and prejudice. And I'm proud to say that that description aptly describes the Appellate Division, 4th Department. Thus, as gatekeepers of justice, it is the responsibility of the courts to actively work to ensure that when every citizen participates in our judicial system, they have trust and confidence in the process. So I again ask that you assist the Franklin H. Williams Judicial Commission, which includes your own Judge, Vanessa Bogan, to help ensure that all who enter the halls of justice will have every confidence that there is equal justice for all under the law, without regard to race, color, or natural origin. For it is only with continued vigilance with respect to our legal system that never again will it take in excess of 100 years to finally provide justice to William Herbert Johnson or anyone else. Finally, to the Johnson family and all assembled, it is undeniable that had William Herbert Johnson been permitted to be admitted to the rolls of the State Bar in 1903, after meeting his academic requirements, and upon consideration of his distinguished service to his country in the Spanish-American War, his personal qualities, and his contributions to the Syracuse community, it would have served the State Bar of New York.
Please join me in welcoming Mayor Ben Walsh.
Good morning. Thank you for having me here today. It truly is a privilege to participate in the, not correction, Judge McKinney, atonement, amelioration of an injustice done long ago. While progress has certainly been made since the civil rights movement first began, 3 generations of the fight to make sure all are treated fairly is still ongoing. I want to acknowledge Tom Johnson, who works with us at the city's assessment department, along with his entire family. It is my hope that today all of you and those inspired by the legacy of Mr. William Herbert Johnson will know his journey was not in vain. I'd like to share a little bit more of Mr. Johnson's story, thanks to some information that Tom shared with us. Mr. Johnson lived only a few blocks from City Hall at 618 East Washington Street for more than 85 years. The only reason he ended up leaving was because of the construction of the I-81 viaduct built in the late 1950s, certainly relevant for today. He was very active in local politics and social issues at the time, in what was then known as the 15th Ward. He played a role in the appointment of Willie Gilbert, the first black police officer in Syracuse, and Chester Whiteside, the first black firefighter. He also helped people study for civil service exams if they had an interest in working for the city of Syracuse. He once spoke at the Onondaga County Bar Association at the old Yates Hotel, but was listed only as the colored law student in the program. Coincidentally, he spoke about the law and racial prejudice at that meeting. He graduated at the top of his class in 1903, but could not formally practice law, despite passing the bar exam on his first try. If only the attorneys who would give him work under the table were brave enough to publicly provide the required character references for admission, he would have been able to practice law alongside his peers. Per Tom, his grandfather never complained, though, because the work he received helped provide a living for his family. He has an award named after him, a bar association in his honor. He was a founding member of the Dunbar American Legion post 1642 and was active in the Dunbar Center's youth programs. He was a humble man, one that led his family. He was only 5 foot 3 inches tall, about 120 pounds, but was well respected and inspired many. It is an honor to have learned about his contributions to his family, the profession of law, politics, and Syracuse. May we all remember William Herbert Johnson, Esquire, for his work in our community. Most importantly, may we continue to remember his enduring grace as he is honored more than a century later for the history he made right here in our backyard. Thank you.
And next we have Vice Dean Keith Bybee and Professor Paula Johnson from Syracuse University College of Law. Syracuse University College of Law was the place that William Herbert Johnson found, where he found a home to advance his education and his understanding of the world. And his 1903 diploma is rightfully given a place of honor at the College of Law. Vice Dean Keith Bybee and Professor Paula Johnson, who was instrumental in bringing this event together, will now provide remarks on behalf of the College of Law. Please join me in welcoming Vice Dean Keith Bybee and Professor Paula.
It's a great honor and privilege to participate in today's admission ceremony for William Herbert Johnson, distinguished graduate, first African-American graduate of the Syracuse University College of Law. Nothing can truly repair the injustices of yesterday, but we gather today with pride to recognize the man that William Johnson was. His kindness and strength, his legal intellect, his scholarship, and his service to the law and to his community. I've been asked to speak briefly about Mr. Johnson's education and his academic experience at Syracuse University College of Law, and in doing so, I'm aided by my colleague, Professor Paula Johnson's Syracuse Law Review article, which outlines Mr. Johnson's early life, the work he performed in the community, his important legacy. This article is very informative. It's an excellent piece of biography and of scholarship, and I recommend it to you all. I want to thank Paula for taking the time to do this important stuff. William Herbert Johnson was born in Syracuse in 1875. His academic career began as a student at Boston University. After he received his bachelor's degree, he enlisted in the Army and served this country under Theodore Roosevelt during the Spanish-American War. He embarked on his legal education when he returned to Syracuse, first working as a clerk in the Syracuse law firm, and then enrolling in Syracuse University College of Law. Syracuse University was chartered in 1870, and the College of Law was chartered in 1895. The College of Law is now located on campus in Deneen Hall, but in those days it was originally located downtown, not far from where Mr. Johnson had his home. In the early days, the College of Law was a strongly local institution that exclusively prepared students for the bar of Onondaga County. As Thomas Johnson, one of William Johnson's grandsons, noted, William Johnson wanted to be, quote, the attorney for black people of Syracuse, end quote. For an aspiring lawyer looking to advance justice in his hometown, Syracuse University College of Law was a natural choice. A natural choice, but not an easy road. I don't have to tell many people in this room that it's not easy to survive the rigors of law school. But Mr. Johnson faced more than just the difficulties of obscure cases and the complexities of doctrine. He encountered at the law school name calling, students not sharing information, limitations on his ability to access law books in different parts of the law school. The treatment that Mr. Johnson received was inexcusable. His academic performance was nonetheless exemplary, and he ended up giving the valedictory address upon his graduation. I ask you for a moment to imagine the tenacity, the intellectual ability, the strength of will that success under those conditions required. That was William Herbert Johnson, a man of high principle, a man of serious purpose. Mr. Johnson is remembered by Thomas Johnson, and son as someone who would, quote, rather fail trying than to have someone say, you can't, end quote. As Calvin Johnson remembered, his grandfather, quote, always found a way to get it, and he was very resourceful doing so. Others today have spoken about William Johnson's life after law school, the injustices he encountered, the important work he completed, his passion for civic activism, his selfless service. It's entirely possible that were Mr. Johnson with us today, he might be a little embarrassed about all the fuss we're making. As you've heard, he was not the kind of person, as Calvin Johnson noted, who would blow his own horn. He was a quiet, unassuming individual. William Johnson did not trumpet his achievements, but he knew the value of his accomplishments. As Calvin Johnson also recalled about his grandfather, quote, he was very, very proud of the fact that he graduated from the law school. I say to Mr. Johnson, I say to the family of Mr. Johnson, and I say this on behalf of the College of Law, we are very, very proud to count him as our alumnus. It's fitting that we praise William H. Johnson today and honor him with his deserved and far too long delayed admission to the bar. Thank you.
Professor Paula Johnson.
Greetings, Presiding Justice Whalen, members of the bench, other justices, members of the Johnson family, all assembled guests, and witnesses to this historic moment. Many of us who have dedicated our lives, personal and professional, to the pursuit of justice and equality could hardly have imagined ourselves standing here on this day for this celebration in this place. We can spend many years doing very good work, helping many people, and sometimes changing people's lives positively, and still a moment like this stands out in the magnitude of its meaning, not only to an individual or even a family, but to a people, a community, indeed a nation. All of us who have had a role in helping to bring about this day have been incredibly humbled by the experience. I have been asked how I came to write about William Herbert Johnson. My scholarship has always been about voice. The voices of people whom the law has ignored or rejected or mischaracterized or simply has not seen. Further, as one of the few African American faculty members at the College of Law, I have always taken seriously the role and responsibility to let students of color and others who felt themselves on the margins know that even when they felt they were in the numerical minority, they were never alone. They had history, lineage, and legacy beneath them, holding them up, keeping them strong. They had legal ancestors. As the longtime Black Law Student Association faculty advisor, I had the honor and pleasure of recommending the recipient of the C.L.E. Johnson Award. It dawned on me that I did not know more about Mr. Johnson's life than the fact that he was the first Black graduate of the College of Law in 1903. As the year 2003 began to approach, I felt that it was important to commemorate his pioneering status on the centennial of his graduation. I spoke to the SU Law Review editor about my intention to write a tribute to him and asked that it be published in the Law Review. It started with a question: who was William Herbert Johnson? I wanted to put Mr. Johnson's history and experience in the context of the historical experiences of Black attorneys and the Black experience broadly. I researched the roles of Black attorneys and the stories of their limitations or outright exclusion from practice. I looked at the ways that they triumphed in spite of racial discrimination. In the grand, ignoble scheme of things, this was Mr. Johnson's story too. Supremely qualified, but nevertheless denied. While my article is replete with data, historical, and legal analysis, the human element was essential. Denials and discrimination happen to real people. Voice matters. Memory matters. Legacy matters. I wanted to speak to people who had firsthand knowledge about Mr. Johnson, the person. Judge Langston McKinney and I had a conversation, and I recall him saying, you know, he still has relatives in the area. And I was ecstatic. This led me to Mr. Johnson's grandchildren, Calvin, Thomas, Donald, and Dorothy. I spoke to each of them to get their recollections about their grandfather and what they knew of his experience in law school, why he had gone in the first place, and how he handled the disappointment of not getting the opportunity to be admitted to the bar and practice in a full-fledged way. We had numerous discussions, as they would call me, again and again, with a new memory of something their grandfather had said or done, or some prominent person who came to their house, or how their grandparents opened their home to Black students, including Black athletes, the students at the medical school, who often needed respite from the hostility they encountered on the Hill. I learned about his dignity and his sacrifices. He took jobs outside the practice of law, ordinary jobs, honorable jobs, in order to support his family. This, even as he was sought after for advice and counsel based on his legal knowledge by members of the white legal establishment and members of his beloved 15th Ward community. My article on Mr. Johnson was most rewarding because it has been so impactful. Perhaps most fulfilling to me is what it has meant to the Johnson family, especially the younger generation of descendants. Each time I heard from one of them requesting a copy of the article, I felt that I was contributing to their connection to the greatness of their bloodline and thereby to the clarity of their own direction and purpose in their own futures. But there is something larger in the telling of Mr. Johnson's story, which is the reason why I thought it was important for it to be published in the Law Review. I believe strongly that our profession must reckon with our flaws, even as we relish our esteemed positions. It is also a story of the trajectory of law, discriminatory laws, and the persistent activism to change them. Think about Ada Sipewell, who applied to the University of Oklahoma Law School in 1946, but was rejected because she was Black. In 1948, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that the state of Oklahoma must provide equal education to Black and white students. Ada Sipewell won the case, but when forced to comply with the court's order, she was admitted to the University of Oklahoma Law School, but was cordoned off from her white classmates and forced to sit in a chair marked colored. She had to eat in a chained-off area of the dining room. Some of her classmates defied racial convention and worked with her. Many people had donated to her cause, and she said that she felt obligated to those who donated and believed in her, and she had to make it. Thurgood Marshall argued Sipewell versus Oklahoma, which presaged Brown versus Board of Education, which would be decided in 1954. Thurgood Marshall, the first Black Supreme Court justice, legal giant, descendant from enslaved people, a prodigious scholar. And Baltimore native, who went to Howard University Law School in Washington, D.C., because of the segregationist policy at the University of Maryland Law School, located in Baltimore. Consider then that today we mourn the loss of another legal giant. Congressman Elijah Cummings, also of Baltimore, attended Howard University undergrad, Phi Beta Kappa, and the University of Maryland School of Law, graduating in 1976. Thurgood Marshall, Ada Sipewell, Elijah Cummings. Superior intellects, warriors for justice. They faced down rejection and isolation to soar. William Herbert Johnson and pioneers like him paved the way for them and made all of us possible. This brings us to this day. It is not just an individual triumph. It is a testament to the fortitude, perseverance, and belief of a family, a community, and a people. Today we have aligned ourselves with an undeniable truth, the truth of Mr. Johnson's wrongful denial. And we have aligned ourselves with the intentional correction, amelioration of that injustice. In the immortal words of Chairman Elijah Cummings, we are better than that. Now, Justice Whalen, and everyone here today, Let the record reflect. Let the long arc of the historical record reflect that justice was done here today. Thank you.
J. Christopher Hamilton, co-founder of the Syracuse Black Law Alumni Collective, was established earlier this year as the first ethnic Syracuse University College of Law Alumni Association with 501c3 status, providing resources and assistance to students at the College of Law. The purpose of Syracuse Black is to empower, promote, and support College of Law alumni, students, and faculty, and to provide financial assistance, professional development opportunities, and strategic partnerships for the African American legal community at large. And apparently one of the first initiatives undertaken by Syracuse Black was to contact the court to advocate for the events that are happening today. Thank you for that. Please join me in welcoming Syracuse Black Executive Director and Chief Operating Officer J. Christopher Hamilton and you.
Be here today to address you all on behalf of our organization, Syracuse Black. I'm particularly excited because I just recently relocated to the community after graduating from law school about 20 years ago. And I'm now a professor at the Syracuse University Newhouse School of Public Communication. So I look forward to building relations with you all in the years to come during my tenure. So I'm sure many of you are wondering, how this all came about and why now, this posthumous submission and our organization. So I would love to entertain you with dramatic details about the rise of Syracuse Black and the mission we took on to get Mr. Johnson posthumously admitted, but actually the reality is not so exciting. We answered a call. The Black Law Students Association, BALSA particularly, reached out to us last year and identified the fact that they felt disconnected from their Black alum. So my co-founder now, Felicia Collins, took it upon ourselves to form an organization for that purpose. We saw a need and we wanted to serve it. And in terms of the posthumous submission, very similar circumstances. We became aware of the fact that Mr. Johnson had not been admitted to the bar through his family. And we just saw a need and we decided to take it upon ourselves to do something about that. So I think if there is anything for you guys to remember about our presence here today and our organization, it's that, Syracuse Black is about identifying the broken pieces and rolling up our sleeves and fixing them. And that's really what Felicia Collins did. I want to give her again a round of applause. As you can see, my co-founder and former classmate is very shy and doesn't like to take get the attention. That's why I'm here today. So again, thank you all, and we look forward to building a relationship with you over the years to come.
Mr. Johnson's grandsons, Kelvin, Donald, and Thomas Johnson Sr., and granddaughter, Dorothy Jefferson, all made significant contributions to today's events by providing affidavits containing details about their grandfather's life, details that confirmed that Mr. Johnson's life was one well-lived and that he had the requisite good moral character and general fitness to practice law upon his graduation from law school. Mr. Thomas Johnson Sr. will now be providing us with some further remarks on behalf of the Johnson family to mark this historic occasion honoring his grandfather. Please join me all in welcoming Mr. Thomas Johnson Sr.
Forgive me, I know I'm going to be nervous, and no, that does not contain my speech. Something altogether different. I want to thank the judges for being here. It's good seeing Judge Joseph Chin and my former attorney, Judge Carney. I just want him to know that he was the first Republican that I ever voted for. When you're thanking people, you tend to leave people out. So if you did something that helped get us to this point, forgive me for not mentioning it. But I've got to thank my brothers for all they did, our cousin Dorothy Jefferson, who couldn't be here, who is the oldest living Johnson grandchild. My old car partner, Langston, who was always in my ear, Tom, we're going to get this done, we're going to get this done. Assemblywoman Pam Hunter, who assisted us in the state legislature when I called upon her. But I just want to thank everyone for being here. But sometimes when you thank people, you can say it, and you want them to leave knowing that you really meant it. So I'm going to ask my two brothers to come up and help me with this. Just indulge us for a minute. I know Dean Boyce couldn't be here, but we had plaques made up for three special people, to thank them. And I'd just like to take the time to read what they say. October 18, 2019, the family of William H. Johnson, the first African-American to graduate from Syracuse University College of Law in 1903, wants to express our deepest appreciation to Dean Craig M. Boyce, Syracuse University College of Law, for your continued support of faculty and staff that have assisted our family in the effort to gain our grandfather admission to the practice of law. Like our grandfather, you're a trailblazer as well as the first African-American to be named Dean of the College of Law. Our hope is that your legacy be preserved as well. Because of your support to those individuals who have a part in preserving the legacy of William H. Johnson, knowing that his legacy will forever be preserved at the Syracuse University College of Law. The Johnson family can't thank you enough. Will Dean be accepted on his behalf, please? Okay, this is for the lady that doesn't like any publicity. Alicia? Okay, it's going to be, what, 3 minutes of fame? October 18, 2019. The family of William H. Johnson, the first African-American to graduate from Syracuse University College of Law, class of 1903. We want to express our deepest appreciation to Felicia Collins of Pumares, attorney, Maxwell School and Syracuse University College of Law, 1998. Now, you know, to graduate from Maxwell, it takes a lot to get 2 degrees at the same time. You know she's got to be a brilliant lady. Because of your commitment and dedication, we finally accomplished our goal to have our grandfather, William H. Johnson, recognized as an attorney 116 years after his graduation from the law school and preserving his legacy. Whether it was the preparation of our personal affidavits or acting in our behalf to the court, it goes without saying you were there for us. Without your valuable assistance, we could not have accomplished this on our own. Our grandfather was a very humble but proud man, and we're certain he knew he deserved his place in the legal community. As a result of your efforts, our grandfather has been given his rightful place in the legal community and at Syracuse University College of Law. Because of your efforts, the legacy of William H. Johnson will be forever preserved at the law school and to the students of color who follow in his footsteps. Adopted as our sister, cousin, or whatever. Again, October 18, 2019, the family of William H. Johnson, the first African-American to graduate from the Syracuse University College of Law, class of 1903, wants to express our deepest appreciation for Professor Paula C. Johnson, Syracuse University College of Law. Paul, it's difficult to put into words what you've done for our family, and especially for our grandfather. This journey has taken 116 years, and with your dedication and research, that's led us to this historic day. Starting with your efforts to have our grandfather receive recognition he truly deserved from the College of Law, honoring the 100th anniversary of his graduation in 2003. The renaming of the Seeley Award to the Johnson Seeley Award in his honor was another milestone, followed by your timely article in the Syracuse Law Review citing his accomplishment. Gave notice to the alumni of the College of Law and others that he deserved his rightful place in the legal community. Although this admission is posthumous, it in no way detracts from his accomplishments in his life and his reverence our family holds for him. When asked years ago by family member why he went to law school, knowing he wouldn't be allowed to practice law, he stated, and that was to me, someone has to be first. Because of your efforts, the legacy of William Jackson be forever served at the law school and served as an inspiration to other students of color who follow in his footsteps. Distinguished guests, family members, and friends. My name is William H. Calvin Johnson. I'm my grandfather's oldest living grandson today. My grandfather was born here in Syracuse, New York, not too far from this courtroom, over on South McBride Street. Back then, it was probably called Grape Street. And he also, when he went to law school, wasn't up on the hill, it was right across the street. It's a parking lot today. So he had a lot of history here in Syracuse. He was very essential in helping many, many people of color, notice of color, in this community to get the things that they needed to get. So it's with great heartfelt gratitude and deep appreciation that we thank the court today and Felicia, Paula, Langston, and all those who had a part in this momentous occasion today. Thank you very much.
An applicant for admission to the bar in Syracuse is interviewed by volunteers on the Character and Fitness Committee for the 5th Judicial District. And if that committee is satisfied that the applicant for admission possesses the requisite moral character and fitness to practice law, it certifies that good character to the court, to our court, on a document signed by members of the committee, which is then permanently affixed to the application for admission. Because in this instance, the current Character and Fitness Committee for the 5th Judicial District could not interview Mr. Johnson, the court itself has reviewed the entire application, and all the justices on the panel here today themselves will affix their signature to that certification, which reads, "We, the undersigned, members of this court, have examined the historical record of the above-named applicant for admission to the bar as to moral character and general fitness for admission as an attorney and counselor at law. And upon such examination and the foregoing papers and proofs submitted by the applicant's family, the Syracuse University College of Law, and the Syracuse Black Law Alumni Collective, we find and do hereby certify that the said applicant was to the best of our judgment of good moral character and generally fitted for the practice of the law at the time of his law school graduation in 1903 and thereafter. And we do hereby recommend said applicant for admission as an attorney and counselor at law of the state of New York, nunc pro tunc, as of October 20th, 1903. That certification, which will now be signed by the members of this panel, will be attached to Mr. Johnson's application for admission and permanently retained in our court's file." And now the clerk of our court, Mark Bennett, will read the certificate of admission for Mr. Johnson, after which I will sign it and Mr. Bennett will attest my signature. This certificate will also be retained permanently in Mr. Johnson's admission file. Mark?
By the Appellate Division of the Supreme Court of the State of New York, in and for the 4th Judicial Department. To all to whom these presents shall come, greeting. Know ye that William Herbert Johnson, on whose behalf an application has been submitted for admission as an attorney and counselor at law in the courts of record of this state, and having been found qualified and a citizen of good moral character, and the Court of Appeals having issued an order waiving strict compliance by William Herbert Johnson with its rules for admission of attorneys and counselors at law, the said William Herbert Johnson, at the October 2019 term of this court, having been certified to this court by the New York State Board of Law Examiners for admission as an attorney and counselor at law, was duly admitted and licensed to practice as an attorney and counselor at law in all the courts of this state, according to the laws of this state, and the rules and orders of said courts, nunc pro tunc, as of October 20th, 1903. And Presiding Justice Whalen is going to sign under an attestation saying, in testimony whereof, I, Gerald J. Whalen, Presiding Justice of said court, have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of said court to be hereunto affixed this 18th day of October, in the year of our Lord 2019, in the 243rd year of the independence of the United States of America.
For the framed copy of the admission certificate with original signatures, that it may serve as a reminder of William Herbert Johnson's greatness and determination. Thank you. Gentlemen, thank you. It was very good. Thank you. Thank you. So.